Welcome to my Vision News, Wednesday's first video. First news stories from Addis Ababa, Ethiopian capital, where dozens have been arrested in the last 2 days. Who are the arrested individuals? Teachers, students, political party members. Addis Ababa police indirectly confirmed arrests in a statement a few hours ago. Secondly, Washington, D.C., where three ethnic group members are protesting. While US Africa summit was underway in Washington, D.C., Tigrayans, Oromos, Amharas all protested outside the venue. We have a video for you showing all three ethnic groups protesting in separate protests outside the venue. Thirdly, viewers, on Tuesday, some Eritreans were due to protest for regime change in Europe, in America. Seedling for Peace and Democracy in Eritrea had called for global protests. What happened yesterday? Were there any demonstrations? How significant, how impressive were these protests held yesterday by Eritreans? And lastly, was PM Abiy has met Antony Blinken, US Secretary of State. What did the two discuss? PM Abiy is in Washington attending US Africa Summit. Firstly, viewers, Addis Ababa, Ethiopian capital, where we know that in the last few days, we have seen tensions at Addis Ababa schools. Dispute is over hoisting of Oromo region's flag, playing of Oromo region's anthem at Addis Ababa schools. Some students, teachers, political parties were opposing hoisting of the flag and playing of the anthem at the schools of Addis Ababa. But Addis Ababa government seems to be supporting the hoisting of the flag and playing of the anthem, Oromo flag at these schools. Reportedly, in the last 48 hours, dozens have been arrested by Addis Ababa police. The police, in a statement a few hours ago, said that teaching activities were continuing peacefully. There was no disruption, but police named Baldiras party, he was founded by Skandar Naga. Later, he resigned from the party and he abandoned politics. The party is mainly based in Addis Ababa, Ethiopian capital, and Addis Ababa police says that this party's workers were involved in creating instability in Addis Ababa. Firstly. Secondly, some students and teachers were involved too who have been arrested. Police has not shared details of how many have been arrested. Who are they? Are they ethnic Oromos, Amharas? How many teachers, how many students, how many Baldiras party members? Police has not shared details, but dozens have been arrested. Some say hundreds. Today, there is relative peace. I have not heard of any incident at Addis Ababa schools today. But who are the arrested people? Where are they? Of course, they have right to seek legal support. Their names should be made public. Their affiliation should be made public. But so far, Addis Ababa police has not shared details about arrests. But large-scale arrests are being confirmed by several sources based in Addis Ababa. So the issue is still unresolved. As long as the issue is unresolved, tensions will persist. What is needed is permanent solution to this problem. After every few weeks, we see this issue come up and still no permanent solution. Secondly, viewers, Washington, D.C., US, where three ethnic group members protested. They are still protesting. Tigrayans were seen chanting slogans against PM Abiy. Amharas were seen calling PM Abiy the terrorist. Oromos were calling PM Abiy the terrorist there. So all three ethnic group members protested in Washington, D.C. in separate protests. PM Abiy is there to attend US Africa Summit and These three ethnic groups, some factions in these groups believe that they are targets of government's high-handedness, target of atrocities by government forces. Can there be an alliance among Tigrayans, Amharas, and Oromos? There are splits within Amharas, splits within Oromos, not lots of splits within Tigrayans. So it's difficult for these groups, and they have their grievances against each other as well. So can they unite to fight federal government? So far, no such development, but they are protesting separately. If they start a joint movement, it can be more forceful. It can have more impact, better impact. But since they have grievances against each other, that is why perhaps it's difficult for them to unite and launch a movement against the government. Watch a clip showing three ethnic groups in separate protests in Washington, D.C. Protests still continuing there reportedly.
Where's American value? 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 Where's American value?
Apartheid system. Free. Thaddeus Kantu. Free. Not. Stop. Killing. Arresting.
Thirdly, viewers, an Eritrean diaspora organization had called for global protests on Tuesday. Seedling for Peace and Democracy in Eritrea is the name of the organization. This organization was founded in February on Valentine's Day. Relatively new diaspora organization, new opposition group based abroad, based mainly in US, I think. The group was calling for protests for regime change in Eritrea, that Eritreans had right to democracy, but their rights were being denied. What happened? Were there any demonstrations on Tuesday? There were some protests. We have seen some pictures. Firstly, from Tel Aviv, Israel, there are some Eritreans protested carrying the flags of this movement, sealing for peace and democracy in Eritrea. And we saw some flags at some protests in London too. I did not see any protest video picture from US, but there were preparations for such a protest in Washington too. But only a few were seen attending these protests in Israel, in London, in US. Keeping in view that Eritrean diaspora in US consists of thousands of Eritreans. So it means that diaspora is split. Some are pro-government, some are pro-opposition parties. That is why Eritrean diaspora could not unite to launch a significant and impressive anti-Eritrean government movement abroad. We only see such demonstrations ongoing for years. Can these demonstrations have any impact inside Eritrea? Don't think so. Lastly, viewers, PM Abiy is in the US, like other African leaders attending US-Africa summit. There, Some top level meetings have been held. PM Abiy met with Antony Blinken, US Secretary of State. What happened at the meeting? PM Abiy briefed Antony Blinken about democratic reforms ongoing in Ethiopia, if they are. And secondly, he talked about implementation of peace agreement signed last month. What did Blinken say? Blinken firstly appreciated the government for improvement in humanitarian situation in Tigray, other parts of Ethiopia, and for gradual resumption of basic services in Tigray. Secondly, he pressed for two things. Firstly, he said that Ethiopian government should give access to UN human rights investigators, inquiry commissioners who have been tasked with investigation of human rights abuses committed during Tigray conflict. A UN inquiry commission visited Ethiopia a few weeks ago rather. The commission was not allowed to visit Tigray. US wants Ethiopian government to allow this commission to visit the areas in Tigray, other parts of Ethiopia where such atrocities were committed. And secondly, Antony Blinken talked about the withdrawal of Eritrean military from Tigray. That Eritrean military must withdraw from Tigray concurrently with disarmament of Tigray fighters. Both points are mentioned in the statement of US State Department, that disarmament of Tigray fighters and withdrawal of Eritrean military must happen concurrently. No mention of Amhara forces, their withdrawal from Tigray. So, overall, US is sending a message, clear message. US is telling Ethiopia to ensure the withdrawal of Eritrean military from Tigray. And US is still saying that TPLF will also be disarmed, TDF will be disarmed. But both things will happen concurrently. It means that disarmament has not been completed so far. Withdrawal not completed. That is why Antony Blinken and US State Department said in statements a few hours ago that the two must happen concurrently. It means there might be start of it, but so far disarmament and withdrawal have not been completed. Thank you for watching.